Hey, what's up, everyone? I am Joey Saienni, aka Joey Dots, owner of Delaware Scalp Micropigmentation, and this is my podcast, the Dattie Podcast. I've been thinking about starting this podcast for years and years, and I finally have the ability and the means to do it, and I'm so excited. What I've learned I'm in my 6th year of doing SMP, and spending 12 to 20 hours one-on-one with a person, I learned that everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. Some people's story are more interesting than others. However, everybody has a story and you can learn from each person. You might learn the things not to do, don't do it, which is also a way of learning, or you can also learn, hey, I can use their experiences and apply it to my life to increase my overall well-being. Like I said, in the announcement, this podcast is not anything specific. It's not to any one person. I want to interview and talk to and have a conversation with business owners, engineers, doctors, physicists, dentists, my friends, family, anybody I find interesting. It's not set to any one group of people. I just like talking to people, and I think they have very unique points of view. They had a different life than I did. And I do want to call out, you are going to hear me talk about the same thing. You're going to hear me talk about the same thing to different people. I might have a different take on it, or I might say something similar that I said in the past. Either way, I have to talk to different people and treat them like they haven't seen any of my podcasts or any of my videos. So if you hear me having a similar conversation, probably about the cold plunge or the sauna or something like that, or motivation, it doesn't matter. I'm reiterating to this person, this is how I feel, this is the point I am trying to make. And we're not perfect, we're human. So we're going to make mistakes. We're not going to get everything right. We're just having a conversation. I don't want this to be a forced learning. I want this to be entertaining and fun and make it feel like you as the listener are in the room having the conversation with us. So we might not get everything 100% accurate, but if we find new information, if someone calls it out later, I'll gladly either change my mind or write it down in the comments. I'm not stuck to my ego. I try to be logical and think things through. I'll anticipate questions, and that's why I'm trying to get in front of it right now. That's the reason why I'm kind of having this little disclaimer that I'm only human. I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to talk about the same thing multiple times. I might say something that I agree with to one person and then say the complete opposite to a different person because I'm having a different conversation with a different person, and it just might be a different vibe, different atmosphere, new information. Who knows? My true goal for this podcast is to talk to different people from all walks of life and hear their stories and give them a platform to record their stories. I don't even care if anybody listens to it. What I care about is that we have it recorded and we're putting it online so future generations can listen to it, or even just our kids or family members. There's so many stories that probably your grandmother and grandparents have that you've never heard, but I bet if you get them on a microphone that's recording and you let them talk long enough, you'll hear some crazy shit. Or you'll hear some very sensitive things. You hear some heartbreak. I'm going to be virtual, speaking to SMP and PMU artists around the world and other people I find interesting that are not local. But I'm also going to try and do as many in-person podcasts as I possibly can, because I feel like it's easier to communicate. It's not a little bit of a delay. And for the virtual podcast, try to be patient. It's like an ESPN interview. You know, they're talking to the sportscaster and they're like, well, hey, Johnny, so how did you feel about that play? Pause. I made that pass and I threw it to the left side. And you know, you have to be a little bit patient. We're going to have fun. We're going to make jokes. And at no point is there any intention to offend anyone or hurt anyone's feelings. We're just people having a conversation. I have absolutely no intention of hurting anyone's feelings or trying to degrade anybody or talk down to anyone. But if someone comes on here and they make a joke, they make a joke. I'm sorry. But you used to be able to do that. I want people to understand why I am the way I am and how I got to where I am. I feel if you better understand my background, you will be more likely to understand why I say what I say and what I do, and see that I'm a sincere, genuine person that's just interested in talking to people and promoting businesses and my own business. I think having this podcast gives me an opportunity to open up the door to different industries besides SMP and PMU, and then we could talk about their business and they can talk about my business, or just SMP in general. Having a podcast is a form of communication that we've never had before. You could be riding your bike, walking your dog, in the gym, driving your car, sitting at dinner by yourself and listening to a podcast, and you feel like you're right in the room with people. You're right in the room with them having a conversation. We've never had this before. We've never had anything like this before. I just want to let people talk. I'm going to give my point of view. I'm going to let them give their point of view and their experiences, and we're just going to go from there. But I'm always learning, always listening. Thank you for listening to this intro to the Dattie Podcast Part 1. The next part will be background on myself and my experiences. I am Joey Saienni, aka Joey Dots, aka Dot Daddy, and this is the Dattie Podcast. Stay tuned. Boom!
Daddy.